What if I told you that without a few key discoveries, you and I wouldn't even exist today? Throughout history, humanity stumbled upon breakthroughs so powerful that they didn't just change our lives, they reshaped the entire planet. But here's the paradox. Every time we moved forward, we also created new problems we weren't ready to solve. From the wheel to nuclear energy and space exploration, these discoveries unlocked unimaginable possibilities. Yet, behind every leap, there was a hidden cost. Some of them saved billions of lives. Others pushed us to the edge of destruction. And a few, well, they still hold secrets we haven't fully uncovered. So buckle up, because we're about to dive into the 10 discoveries that built and nearly broke humanity. But I'll warn you, once you understand how each of them shaped your life, you'll never look at history the same way again. The wheel, around 3500 BCE. You know, sometimes the simplest ideas change the entire course of history, and the wheel is the perfect example. Before its invention, moving heavy objects meant dragging them across the ground, which was slow, exhausting, and honestly, kind of frustrating. But once humans figured out they could roll things instead of dragging them, everything shifted. Suddenly, people could transport crops, build bigger homes, and connect distant villages like never before. It was like unlocking a hidden cheat code for progress. But the wheel wasn't just about transportation. It sparked an engineering revolution. Over time, it evolved into gears, pulleys, and mechanical systems that power everything from clocks to cars. Think about it. Without that breakthrough, we wouldn't have bicycles, Ferris wheels, or even modern vehicles. Ever been stuck in traffic and cursed at your car? Ironically, you're basically complaining about the invention that made civilization possible. Funny, right? And here's where it gets even crazier. This simple circular tool became the backbone of mathematics and numerical systems centuries later. Engineers needed to calculate rotations, distances, and speeds, which pushed human knowledge forward in ways they couldn't even imagine. In other words, the wheel didn't just move objects, it moved our entire understanding of the world. But this was just the beginning, because before we could invent wheels, we had to master something far more powerful, something that literally changed survival itself. Control of fire. Around 1.5 million years ago. Imagine living in a world where the night wasn't just dark, it was terrifying. Predators lurked nearby, temperatures dropped dangerously low, and food was often raw and hard to digest. Then, early humans discovered control of fire, and suddenly, everything changed. Fire became more than just warmth. It became safety, community, and survival. Picture families gathering around the flames, sharing stories, cooking meals, and building the first sense of home. But here's the thing most people miss. Fire didn't just keep us alive, it made us smarter. Cooking food broke down nutrients in ways our bodies couldn't manage before, boosting brain development over thousands of years. Some scientists even argue that without fire, we might never have evolved into who we are today. That's wild, right? And beyond survival, fire became the first technology humans used to shape their environment, from forging tools to hardening clay. And here's the mind-blowing part. Control of fire lit the path for every discovery that came after, including agriculture. With fire, humans cleared forests, managed land, and eventually planted crops where wild nature once ruled. It's like fire handed us the keys to civilization itself. But little did our ancestors know, the real game changer was still ahead. Learning how to make the earth work for us. Agriculture and animal domestication, around 10,000 BC. For hundreds of thousands of years, humans were wanderers, constantly chasing food and shelter. But then came agriculture and animal domestication, and everything flipped upside down. Imagine this. Instead of running after herds, people figured out they could plant seeds, grow crops, and raise animals right where they lived. Suddenly, survival wasn't just about hunting anymore. It was about planning, patience, and building for the future. This shift gave birth to villages, and those villages eventually became cities. But here's where it gets fascinating. Agriculture didn't just feed people, it fueled innovation. with stable food supplies, humans had time to think, invent, and create. That's when writing, trade, and even early science started to flourish. And animal domestication? That was another genius move. Horses, oxen, and donkeys became humanity's first machines, transforming farming and transportation. If you think about it, the first real technology upgrade wasn't a gadget, it was a goad. And yet, agriculture came with a price. Settling down made society stronger, but it also introduced competition for land, water, and resources. Those early farms set the stage for alliances, rivalries, and, well, the first taste of organized conflict. Still, this step was unavoidable, because without agriculture, we'd never reach the next breakthrough, one that would finally allow us to record everything we learned and pass it on forever. Writing, around 3200 BCE. Imagine trying to build a society where everything depends on memory. No notes, no books, no records, just stories passed from person to person. That's how humans lived before writing came along. And honestly, it was chaos. Then the Sumerians showed up and changed everything. They invented a way to turn sounds and ideas into symbols, and suddenly knowledge wasn't trapped in someone's head anymore. It could travel through time. That single leap turned scattered tribes into organized civilizations. But here's the part most people overlook. Writing didn't just record history, it shaped it. Laws, taxes, trade agreements. None of that would have existed without someone scratching symbols into clay tablets. Imagine trying to run an empire without receipts, contracts, or instructions. Even religion evolved because sacred texts preserved stories and rituals for generations. Think about it. Without writing, we wouldn't have the Bible, the Quran, or the epic tales of Homer. It's not just about letters on paper. It's about identity, memory, and power. And here's where things get even more interesting. Once humans started writing, we unlocked the door to mathematics and numerical systems. You can't build pyramids, track stars, or trade across continents without measuring and calculating. Writing became the foundation, but math turned it into a superpower. And that's exactly where our next discovery takes us. Mathematics and numerical systems, around 3000 BCE. Picture this. Ancient builders standing in the desert, trying to figure out how to stack millions of massive stones into a perfect pyramid without mathematics and numerical systems. Sounds impossible, right? But once humans learned to count, measure, and calculate, they unlocked a whole new level of problem solving. Math wasn't just about numbers. It became a universal language, one that allowed us to understand patterns, predict outcomes, and literally shape the world around us. And here's the fascinating part. Math didn't stay confined to dusty scrolls or temple walls. From tracking the phases of the moon to mapping the stars, early civilizations used math to connect with the universe itself. Farmers calculated the best seasons to plant crops. Traders measured the value of goods, and architects designed structures that still leave us speechless today. Ever been amazed by the precision of the Great Pyramids or Stonehenge? You can thank math for that. But math's real magic is how it became the silent engine behind every future breakthrough. Without mathematics and numerical systems, there'd be no electricity, no medicine, no computers, no internet, basically, no modern world. And speaking of electricity, wait until you see how one discovery quite literally lit up the planet and changed everything we thought was possible. Electricity, 18th and 19th centuries. Imagine a world where nights were ruled by darkness, streets were silent, and human activity stopped as soon as the sun went down. That was reality before the discovery and harnessing of electricity. Then came pioneers like Benjamin Franklin, Nikola Tesla, and Thomas Edison. And suddenly, humanity flipped the switch literally. Light bulbs replaced candles, factories ran day and night, and cities started glowing like constellations on Earth. It was the spark that ignited the modern world. But electricity did much more than light up our nights. It powered communication with the telegraph and telephone, transformed transportation with trains and streetcars, and even changed entertainment forever with radios, movies, and television. Think about your daily life for a second. Smartphones, laptops, streaming platforms, refrigerators, even your morning coffee machine. None of it would exist without electricity. Honestly, our entire lifestyle runs on this invisible force we barely think about. And here's the wild twist. Electricity didn't just make life easier. It opened the doors for the next wave of discoveries, including medicine and vaccines. With electricity powering microscopes, X-rays, and laboratories, humanity started peering inside the body like never before. And what scientists discovered that didn't just change how we live, it saved billions of lives. Medicine and vaccines, 19th and 20th centuries. For most of human history, a simple infection, a broken bone, or even drinking unsafe water could be a death sentence. Then came medicine and vaccines, and suddenly, we started rewriting the rules of survival. Scientists like Louis Pasteur and Robert Koch discovered that tiny, invisible microorganisms were behind countless diseases. That realization changed everything. It gave us the power to fight back. Vaccines, antibiotics, and hygiene practices turned the tide, saving lives on a scale our ancestors could never imagine. But here's the incredible part. Medicine didn't just cure illnesses, it reshaped society itself. With fewer deadly epidemics, people began living longer, healthier lives, which fueled innovation and progress. Think about it. Without vaccines, there'd be no thriving cities, no global travel, and certainly no population boom. From penicillin to insulin, from organ transplants to advanced surgery, medicine became the silent hero behind almost every aspect of modern life. Even something as routine as going to the dentist or taking pain relievers traces back to this era of breakthroughs. And here's the kicker. The evolution of medicine and vaccines set the stage for an entirely new world, one driven by technology. As scientists learned more about the body, they started leaning on machines, data, and connectivity. That led us straight into the next big revolution, where computers and the internet would forever change how we diagnose, communicate, and even save lives. Computers and the internet, 20th century. Picture this. A world where every calculation is done by hand, every message travels by mail, and every piece of knowledge is locked inside books. Then came computers and the internet, and everything changed fast. At first, computers were giant, room-sized machines crunching numbers for scientists and governments. But as they became smaller and faster, they slipped into homes, schools, and pockets, quietly becoming the ultimate problem solvers. And then the internet arrived, and suddenly, humanity became connected in ways no one thought possible. One click, and you can learn a new skill, talk to someone on the other side of the planet, or even launch a business from your bedroom. From streaming movies to online shopping, from GPS navigation to artificial intelligence, computers and the internet turned the world into one giant, living network. Honestly, you're reading this right now because of them. Pretty wild when you stop to think about it. But here's where it gets even more fascinating. This digital revolution opened the door to understanding life itself. Without advanced computers and the global exchange of information, we might never have decoded the human genome or uncovered the secrets of evolution. And that leads us straight into one of the most groundbreaking discoveries of all time, the theory of evolution and DNA. Theory of evolution and DNA, 19th and 20th centuries. Imagine living in a time when people believed every species had always existed exactly as it was. Then came Charles Darwin with his theory of evolution, and suddenly, the world's entire understanding of life flipped upside down. His idea that all living beings are connected through a vast tree of life was revolutionary. It wasn't just science. It was a new lens to understand who we are, where we come from, and why we exist. And then, decades later, the discovery of DNA by Watson, Crick, and Rosalind Franklin gave us the missing piece of the puzzle. DNA became humanity's instruction manual, a code written in 4 letters that determines everything from eye color to disease risks. With that discovery, scientists unlocked the ability to read, edit, and even rewrite life itself. Think about it. Today, we can trace our ancestry, predict health problems before they happen, and even develop personalized treatments based on our unique genetic profiles. That's mind-blowing progress, considering that just a century ago, we didn't even know genes existed. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Understanding DNA didn't just revolutionize medicine and biology. It launched us straight into a new era of exploration. Because once we started decoding the building blocks of life, humanity began asking bigger questions about survival, energy, and our future beyond Earth. That's exactly what led us to the next giant leap: nuclear energy and space exploration. Nuclear energy and space exploration, 20th century. Picture this. In less than 100 years, humanity went from riding horses to splitting atoms and reaching space. Nuclear energy changed everything, from powering entire cities to reshaping global politics. But with great power came great risk. On one hand, nuclear reactors gave us clean, efficient energy. On the other, nuclear weapons reminded us how fragile life on Earth can be. It was humanity's first taste of controlling forces once thought to belong only to the universe itself. Meanwhile, space exploration opened a brand new frontier. When Yuri Gagarin orbited the Earth and Neil Armstrong took that first step on the moon, the world realized something profound. We're tiny, yet capable of incredible things. Satellites gave us GPS, weather forecasts, and instant global communication. Telescopes showed us galaxies billions of light years away, and rovers brought us pictures from Mars. Every mission isn't just about science, it's about redefining our place in the cosmos. And here's the fascinating twist: nuclear energy and space exploration aren't just about technology. They're about survival. As resources on Earth become scarcer, harnessing clean energy and understanding other planets might be the key to humanity's future. But if history has taught us anything, every discovery comes with consequences, and the next breakthrough could change everything we think we know about life itself. Now that you know the 10 discoveries that shaped humanity, here's the real question: what will you do with this knowledge? Will you see technology, science, and even your daily life differently from now on? Because whether it's the wheel or nuclear energy and space exploration, every step we've taken as a species brought us here, to this exact moment in history. But here's the catch: the next great discovery might already be happening right now, and it could change everything again. So, which one do you think will define the future? Artificial intelligence, space colonization, or something we can't even imagine yet? Tell me in the comments, because your perspective could spark an incredible debate. And hey, if you enjoyed this journey through time and want to keep uncovering the secrets behind humanity's greatest breakthroughs, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next.